guys. Hey. I'm just setting up here. There's a bit of stop and go for a second, and then stop and go, and then stop and go. But I'm so happy that internet is back up and running again. Hey! It's so good to see you lovelies here. Let's do some shout outs before we get started. I see Emily Jade and Yasmin and OUAT_biggest fan. Hayden's here, Carolyn's here, Catherine from Toronto's here. Hey lovely. Gosh, Erica, Dawny, Gio, T, check on, Lainey Christine, Scout is here, Charlotte's here, Emma's here, Rishi is in the house. Hi love, I'm sending you so much love. You know how wonderful it is when I do a live each week and then you see a dear friend, especially back home from London, saying hello, mwah, miss you, and cheering you on, as always, love. In your journey, you continue to inspire me and so many people every single day, so hello. How are you guys? Oh gosh, there's so many of you. This is so wonderful. Hi. I've got my notebook app. Welcome to the 24th chat session of Tea with Karen. It's all kicking off here at the house. We've got the builders and pest control and all that fun stuff. So if you hear any background noise, it's part of pandemic quarantine life in the background. So just, ignore them. Unless it's Carl who wants to come in. I know he wants to say hi to Sean too today. It's so good to see you guys. I owe you guys a massive apology. The last few weeks have just been so bonkers because we're gearing up to return to work, and also I've been doing some voiceover projects which I'm really excited about. I can't say on a couple of them, but I have been in the booth for Mirror Royal Detective for season 2, so it's been really lovely being back at work, but now trying to juggle working in this new norm. I'm sure many of you have already gone back to work or have gone back to school, either virtually or differently. I know my nephews back in Canada, they're kind of doing school, they're doing school every day, but they're only doing 2-3 hours per day in class on alternative dates, if I got that right. So it's this whole new norm that we have to work around and continue to be vigilant, wearing a mask, being safe. Lots to wrap our heads around. So I apologize because I have to update the Tea with Karen site. I have to, and I will do that all this weekend. So please forgive me. And I know I have to do announcements of challenges. And thank you to those who did do the challenges. I know that a lot of you are super busy now too, because it's all full steam ahead with going back to work. So I do understand. So let's figure out something that maybe we do the challenges every 2 weeks, perhaps, whatever's easier for you guys. Or if you guys still want to continue doing them during each week, let me know, give me feedback. You can message me on teawithkaren.com or on here or on Twitter. Just let me know. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. So yes, busy work week. I want to give a huge shout out to our fellow Once Upon a Time family member, Emily DeRaven. She posted recently about her new IGTV show, and I caught the first episode last night, making it up as you go, and it was so brilliant. I am living vicariously through Emily's life now. My husband Carl and I all are, and we're so excited. Have kind of been like fantasizing about having an RV, and now we can live vicariously through Emily and Eric and their kids. So if you haven't watched it, go to Emily's page here on Instagram, and it's under her IGTV, and you can catch the first intro episode. I think it's going to be such an exciting adventure to follow along. A big birthday shout out to Andrea Lloyd, 86. And I saw, and it went by so quickly, there was another, it was someone else's birthday. I think it was Rebecca, and I missed it. So Rebecca, if you're here, just let us know happy birthday to you as well. And if you guys want birthday shout outs, just tweet me or message me here and let me know if your birthday falls in that week, and we'll do some birthday shout outs too. What else on my checklist? Catalina Film Festival starts tomorrow on the 18th, and I'm so excited that In Hollywood Land has been selected for competition and screening. Thank you to all of you who have been so supportive at Bentonville Film Festival, American Black Film Festival. Now it's Catalina Film Festival, and it was just announced a few days ago that we're also being selected for screenings at Holly Shorts. So I'll be posting more about that too. Tons of information at catalinafilm.org to find out more about screening times of In Hollywood Land. Just in case if you haven't watched it, or if you have and you want to support and watch again, we'd be so grateful. So thank you. And also a big shout out to Fear the Walking Dead. Our new season begins on October 11th, and I'm so excited for you guys to be tuning in. It's going to be very, very dark, different, and expect the unexpected is what I can say. So October 11th, save the date, AMC. And now this is my favorite part, because I am having a cup of tea today with one of my favorite Brits, besides Bex Mader, of course. And you guys know him and love him, and perhaps, dare I say, we all swoon over him as well, which is totally understandable. We love him as Robin Hood in Once Upon a Time. But he's also played so many wonderful roles, like Ian Fleming on Timeless, and as Sir Effingham in The Magicians. He's also been in The 100, Scott and Bailey, Eve, and I know Sean, being a fellow Brit from Grange Hill, his Grange Hill days, and EastEnders. I'm just so happy that Sean Maguire is going to be joining us. And if you're not following Sean, which I'm pretty sure you guys are, but in case you're not, he is at I Am Sean Maguire, and I'm going to bring him on. Grabs your cup of tea. Hi!
Oh!
I love your background.
I'm in a tropical paradise. I refuse to live in the world constrained by all of the things. I live in a sort of tropical paradise. You're actually inside my mind. This is like being John Malkovich.
I love it. Oh my gosh.
Actually, just in Leo's old bedroom, a guest room now. So we had this done for Leo, and he was sort of like, yeah, it's fine.
I love it. Immediately, I already feel so relaxed.
Good.
How are you, love? You look wonderful, as always.
Thank you, as do you. You look as you are completely untarnished by these trying times that we live in.
Well, you're very kind. I had to chop my hair. I had a little bit of an incident. We were social distancing with two of our dear friends. It was their birthday, and I had a small cake with candles, and of course they can only blow it. And so whilst I was, it was outside in the backyard, and whilst I was bringing it out, gust of wind, and it caught part of my hair.
Oh my God. Even in 2020, even birthday candles turn on us.
I was like, what is happening? And of course everyone caught it, and they were like, da-da-da-da. There is nothing worse than the smell of burnt hair.
With you. Just say your hair looks fantastic. So even though it was a disaster, out of it you get a brand new do. And you
know what? Thank you, love. It's just a little bit short, but it's only because it got seared a little bit on one side, and I was like,
you got to let it go at that point.
I just like just chop it. Anyway, it was a laugh, but you have to be so careful, guys. So any of you watching, be very careful.
Apart from everything else in the world, candles, because
Yeah. Don't get your hair seared or
Oh,
fried when you're bringing out a birthday cake. Damn wind. Arr. Anyway, it's so good to see you, love. So you haven't been busy at all, have you?
you know, beginning of this, I think I said on Twitter, like very early on, probably in like late January or something, once we knew that this really was coming, I was like, if you look at the kind of history of these things, they don't come and go quickly. I mean, we only have one really good example, which is the Spanish flu of 1812. And you know, obviously, you think our technology and our science and everything has moved forward so that, you know, what took 5 years then will take us 1 year now. But I was just like, no, I don't see it. And so for that reason, I thought instead of holding like this, I was like, let's try and learn to live within this, because this is not going to change. And a few people are like, oh, you're being dark. And I was like, no, I'm not. I'm just being a realist. And I don't want to clench for the next 3 months only to find out it'll be another 3 months and then another 3 months. So I said to my wife, I was like, I think we need to sort of approach this this is our new existence for the foreseeable future. And by doing that, you go, let's start thinking about the year. We're not going to be able to travel. We're not going to be able to do so many things that we would have done. So let's start trying to fill the jigsaw pieces with different pieces and see if we can make them all fit, you know? And whenever I think changing the mental approach to how it was going to be has made a difference. I mean, that's not to say I haven't had my bouts of sadness, darkness, feeling, you know, just, oh God, how are we ever going to get through this? But I think because of having a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old, you sort of forego that luxury of feeling too sorry for yourself, because they're looking at you like, what are we doing, Captain? Where are we going? And you're like, okay, somebody needs to take the lead. Luckily, Tanya's incredible, and we've managed to get through it so far, and now I feel like we're kind of into a kind of a groove, and I have been keeping really, really busy. So I haven't had, the busier I am, the less time I have to dwell on however things are in the world, you know?
Yeah. And in that moment, you and Tanya have made that choice of how you choose to react to what is happening. And that is so powerful, because that is something that is within our control. And I mean, for me, I'm experiencing things that I never really felt. Like I notice now at night, I'm usually quite calm before going to sleep, but now I sort of feel like a little anxious wave kind of passing through. And I'm told, like, I've been reading up on different from different therapists, and they've all been talking about how it's very normal for people to experience these anxious waves either in the morning or now at night, as we sort of navigate through this, because there's still so much uncertainty. And so even though we might not necessarily feel it so prominently, like it's obvious, it just kind of creeps up on you in really subtle ways.
It's there all the time. It's a bit like grief, you know. You can distract yourself from you know, and keep yourself busy, but then when you stop and you sort of stand still, it kind of,
yeah,
it can come over you. And I think, you know, given the rise in anxiety and depression and all of those things, obviously in this 21st century, we are now aware of the kind of mental issues that a lot of people are facing. And then when something like this happens, I think a lot of people who suffer from anxious worry go, I knew this is what I was worried about. Something like this would happen, and now it's here. I'm like, well, we don't really have the luxury of going, well, we can do this, this, or this. We really, all we have is the choice to just keep going. Yeah. And as horrible as it is, and as long as it may be, this won't last forever. Do you know what I mean? And when it's done, I think something that we will talk about in 5 years or in 10 years or in 20 years, people will say, how did you fare during that time? Like if you spoke to somebody who was alive in the Great Depression, or somebody who was alive during the war or something, to say, what was it like? You know, we will be asked that, and we will ask that of others. And I kind of want to feel like, you know what? I grabbed it by the scruff of the neck and I got productive, and I built a school, and I wrote, and I tried to be a good parent and things like that. I didn't wait for it to change. I didn't wait for the weather to change. I made do with what we had, and that's the sort of, that's my mental sort of way to sort of go forward.
It's survival, isn't it? It's survival. And I applaud all of you guys who have young kids, because I know that you're having to do quadruple duty now, you know, with schooling and keeping their spirits up and trying to explain to them things that are just that normally they're too young, like they shouldn't have to worry about these things.
But I think in a way, what's difficult for children is they can't go to Chuck E. Cheese, they can't go to their friend's house, they can't bounce house, they can't go bowling. You know, those things are tough. But funnily, like my son Flynn, who's 5, has only been on the planet for sort of 4 years before this thing kicked in. So he doesn't really have 40 odd years of previous experience on planet Earth. So he's like, so it's a virus, right? Well, that sucks. So he kind of acts very quickly. It's a pain for him, but he accepts it. And like a lot of people, as we've seen on the news, people are sort of in, well, it's not really what you say, and we don't have to wear a mask because that's beyond bullshit and so stupid. And my 5-year-old grasps it. He gets that the mask isn't just to protect him, but to protect others from him. So simple. A 5-year-old can grasp it without having to ask too many questions.
Yeah.
And yet on the news kind of go, well, it's an infringement on my civil liberty. And I'm like, how much of a civil liberty intrusion is death, would you say? Because that's the biggest intrusion, I would have thought. And we know what we know. We know certain bits about the science that it's just a decent common courtesy just to wear a mask and things like that.
Yeah. Well, we value life. We value each other's lives.
Yeah.
You know,
it's
and
patriotic, if nothing else.
Yeah. And what you just brought up is just now inspired me in saying that let this be an opportunity for our younger generation, for our kids, to build those necessary life skills. You know, those coping mechanisms, those coping skills. You just highlighted that this can be seen as an opportunity for them to start in understanding all of that, because that's going to help them so much and put them in good stead for later down the road.
Well, their generation, I mean, my sons who are 5 and 2 are going to face within the next 12 years, or certainly within the next 20, big changes in the planet that we know at the moment. There will be more wildfires, there will be more tides rising, there will be probably more hurricanes and things like that. And so this pandemic happening to them now teaches them not, as my generation was, to be take it for granted and just, you know, well, we should have a clean planet, why don't we? You know, they're being born into this is going to make them so much more heightened and aware of science, cause and effect, and what is like this pandemic maybe was Mother Nature's way of going, right, I got your attention now. Yeah. Now the big problem.
Yeah.
This is a long-term thing. So maybe this is Mother Nature's way of trying to prepare us for the bigger battle that lies ahead. And I think that my kids will be woke to that and ready to kind of be a participant in
but
change.
that makes me so excited and gives me so much more hope, because I do feel like the younger generations are more woke, are more aware, are more compassionate and inclusive. You know, there's such it almost seems that the innocence and naivety of children is such a beautiful thing, because they don't see barriers, you know, that gives me hope. I'm cheering your boys on.
My children have now just gone into like a little pod. We had to pull them out of their school because we just didn't feel that it was safe. And so now they're in a little learning pod with some other children, and we're all checked and we all can't see other people because it's like a circle of trust and everything. But there's all different races and ethnicities, boys and girls, all different types. And what's amazing is seeing how they play together so beautifully. And it doesn't occur to them that just being different colours, different ethnicities just doesn't really register to them. And it's such a reminder that any of the race issues that we're looking at in the world today, none of them came out of the womb. You know what I mean? They had to be taught. They had to be led that way to see someone as not their brother, as not their sister and stuff. And so what gives me hope is I think that there are still pockets of people that are going to raise their children in that old-fashioned, despicable, ignorant way. And it's our job not to silently just kind of go, well, I guess you raise your kids differently. I now feel emboldened to sort of say, excuse me, it's bad enough that you're just beyond dumb, but to teach your 5-year-old that that's acceptable, I'm now into that line stepping, sorry, you're not infecting my kids with that disgusting ideology. And I think, if nothing else, everything that's happening, the race war, the pandemic, we can no longer sit on the sidelines of these issues that are so paramount to our existence. or to our humanity. You know, I mean, I've always been a little bit too gobby, and I've never been good at hiding my opinions, but now more than ever, I want to encourage other people to stand up. And like, these are the fights we're all in. This isn't sort of a small little subsect of anything anymore. I mean, this is our planet, our environment, our government, and our right to treat each other like good human beings. So yeah, I'm sort of calling to arms everybody with a social media account to, you know, start being that which you say you are, you know, be the person that you want to be.
Yeah. And vote for the kind of world that you want it to be, you know, inclusive, equal. That's so important now more than ever. You've been so vocal as well in so many charities. You've been doing so much extensive work with Oxfam. Can you give us any updates of what you're up to, love, with Oxfam?
Yeah, I am in the middle of, we've been having chats every couple of days. We're doing a new T-shirt campaign. I think in October it will launch. And they said to me, what is the issue at the moment? Because obviously there's so many different charities, there's so many different things and individuals and groups that need help. But there's one thing in particular that just, I don't know, just twisted my stomach in knots, and it's largely been forgotten because of so many other stories in the news. But there's still hundreds and hundreds of children that are 2 and 3 years old in cages at the border that haven't seen their parents in months and months. There's footage of a 6-year-old trying to look after a 2-year-old because she's crying and can't stop crying. Babies sitting in nappies that haven't been changed. And the problem is a lot of these people that were fleeing an almost sort of cartel certain death sort of thing, they thought, we'll take our chances. And then people say, well, if you come in illegally, this is what you get. And I'm like, I understand the law, and I understand you can't cheat the immigration system, but we're talking about like 2-year-olds and 3-year-olds and 1-year-olds. And I've seen footage of a child being returned to his mother, and he didn't want to go to the mum because he was like, no, I don't know you anymore. I mean, it's so horrifying that I said that has to be the thing that I want to try to assist. So what we're going to try and do is try and raise some money so that we can help their legal defense. We can help them with an interpreter. We can help them try and navigate an impossible system. But the goal is to try and get these children reunited with their parents. Now, that's my ethos. There are a lot of political and many details in between. I'm sure there's some people going, well, you can't do that. Sure, I'll listen to you all in time. But right now, all I want to do is raise money, get them some help, and get kids out of cages. I mean, literally, it feels like...
Say that is just so in itself shocking. When you post, just let us know, because then we'll repost too, because we'll all get
support. I feel terrible because I saw somebody online saying, God, you're always asking for help and money and stuff like that. I know, I apologize. And if you don't want to help and if you don't want to give money, I promise I don't think any less of you. Even if you just like the message, it helps get the message out. I know everybody is strapped and broke and having tough financial times. So I don't expect everybody to help every time. It's my philosophy is do whatever you can whenever you can.
Mm-hmm. Spreading awareness. Yeah. Spreading awareness, reposting, all of that helps the cause.
It all helps. It really does.
And learning and educating ourselves too about these different situations of what's going on in the world. I think it's so important.
One of the reasons that I chose them as the charity that I wanted to sort of put most of my energy and resources behind is because they deal with everything. They deal from, fighting global poverty to climate change, to try and get legislation to the floor so that we can get some of these things for, whether it's for, pay equality, all of these things systemically wrap up in why we have a super billionaire class and most single mums struggling doing 3 jobs to put food on the table. So they're the things that I think Oxfam really works well at, trying to tackle all of these global problems from many different perspectives.
Yeah. Well, I was collecting, because I had texted you about it too, because I was reading so much on the Yemen crisis, which seems to have been forgotten. And my heart just broke seeing all the news footage of all those children that are literally starving to death. And so I was, through my cameos, I've been donating to Oxfam, because I knew you were spearheading that campaign as well too. You were involved in all that. So so it's just, there's so much that I just,
or Beirut, you know, what the terrible explosion in Beirut, or and there's so many other things. I could sit here for like a day.
I know. Yeah. But
I don't want to overwhelm anybody.
yeah.
As I've said many times, anybody that maybe you have time on your hands now, but you don't have any money, but you have access to a computer, look up Oxfam. Look up what they do. Just see if you can be one of the foot soldiers that are out getting those messages out. All of the strength of everybody coming together makes an enormous difference. And I've seen the results through Oxfam of what galvanizing that base can do, and pushing a little bit of legislation, whether it's signatures or whatever. You can help, you know, there's always things you can do. And the secret sauce of this is when you start doing good stuff and you start helping, you sort of get that really nice, good feeling about yourself. Yeah. Like, oh, you know, I might have just sat on the couch and watched Friends all day, but I did a little bit of stuff for Oxfam. That's helped a little bit. So yeah. Secret, cheeky way to actually feel good about yourself without doing an enormous amount of work.
Yeah, and also to never underestimate the power that you have as one person. Because a lot of people say, oh, you know, I'm just one person. What difference can I make? But no.
Oh, no.
Your voice is so powerful.
Reminds you. Yeah. You are an individual, but together we make a collective, and as a collective we can make a change. So you've got to stand up. You know, you've got to take that first step forward, and it feels good. Now's the time to, if you're not an activist or you're not involved in this stuff, now's the time. You know, it's not that you haven't missed the start date. We need as much help now as we did last week or the week before. So don't feel that you're coming to the party late. You know, just jump on in.
Yeah. We should do like a Tea with Karen challenge where we all pick a certain charity that we feel connected to or passionate about. And it doesn't have to be necessarily donation. It could just be that we're researching about a charity or understanding the work that they do and reposting about them. That could be really nice to do. So, you know, a lot of it people have been asking about at home with Bex and Sean. And I know I loved it when you guys were doing it. So, but I also know that you guys have both been extremely busy. So a lot of your fans are asking, are you guys going to be bringing that?
We haven't really had a chance to talk about it, but Bex and I adore each other. She's like my sister, obviously. And we were really enjoying doing them too. But they actually are a little bit more work than they looked. Certainly for Mark, who was editing the an interview with a brilliant guest, which is still waiting to be edited, but we will air it and we will do another live soon. But the truth is, when the stuff happened with George Floyd, by stuff, I mean when he was murdered by a police officer, and everything that was happening with that, I think both of us felt like this is a time for us to sort of stand back and let the voices that need to be magnified be heard. Let's just be silent for a second and listen to them and help amplify the voices that should be heard, because I didn't have the philosophy or the wisdom to speak on it. I think you probably, like a lot of us, you want to support, but you also don't want to say the right thing. And it's also almost impossible to say the right thing. And we both just said, should we just give some time now to let this movement and support this movement really resonate and hit everywhere? Because it just also felt a little trite for us to go on a Saturday morning or something, having giggles and coffee, when neither of us felt that way. We were both really saddened by what we were seeing and what we've continued to see even just recently. It just felt like I didn't want us to appear insensitive to the time we were in. Yeah. So the short answer is we will do one soon. I'm super crazy busy at the moment, and Bex has a 1-year-old.
Yes.
So it's tricky, but we will jump on and do one soon, and hopefully when Mark get some time and can edit that interview, we'll put out this interview, which I can't wait for people to see, because it's with somebody I absolutely love, and he's so funny and so charming and entertaining. So we have got one coming. So we apologise for the air, but we will get back to you, I promise, when things calm down a little bit.
That's so exciting. You guys are so magical together. The banter between you two, just... I'm always giggling so much.
We've been to something like 37 different cities together, her, Mark, me and Tanya, and we've traveled so much and done so many conventions together that you start turning into like a double act. You start turning into Ant and Dec, you know what I mean? So but she's just very easy to just bounce with, you know, because she's so much fun. So yeah, it's great. And I have seen Bex a couple of times. She's come down with with Milo, and we've had a swim.
Yes. He's so sweet. Oh my God, so cute. I can't get enough. Well, I'm happy that you guys are going to continue that when you can.
We will.
Because I know it's such a beloved show. And now, even Carl was asking about that. He goes, when's Bex and Sean?
Oh, I miss Carl.
He's going to come in and say hi. I'm going to message him because he was allowing the pest control people to come in. I don't know if you've seen.
We're dealing with that as well at the moment.
Yeah, there's been an enormous amount of flies and mosquitoes,
flies,
but more than ever.
I know. It's literally one of the biblical plagues that we're experiencing, I think.
Yeah, I feel so bad because I don't want to kill things, you know, and like I just.
You know what, my wife actually bought this Zappa thing. It's like the getting like fish and chip shops. It's like an industrial thing, and then you get back. And she was like, oh, I feel really bad. And I was like, you know, normally I'm a bit Buddhist like that. I wouldn't want to kill anything. But flies and mosquitoes, to hell with them. To hell with them. They can all go.
That's how I started off, exactly like that. And then I'm like, just get the zappers in. I can't handle this anymore. And every time I hear the sound of the zap, I'm like, ah. Yeah. But that's so wrong. I'm like, oh no, I feel so bad.
But our food. You know, yesterday I was eating dinner. In the middle of my dinner, this fly landed. I was like, you arrogant fly. You have to die for that. You're not even waiting till I step away. You're like, no, I'm like, I'll hell with you, fly.
No, we had like, we were having a glass of wine and Carl just poured a little bit of wine and I had flies in them already. You want to come say hi to your favorite?
Hey, buddy.
Hello, mate.
Mask.
How are you?
You can take your mask off.
I'm social distancing.
How are you, mate?
Yeah, I'm good. Sorry, I'm actually chewing something.
I'm glad you put that in before you put...
What's that?
I'm glad you put the food in before you put the mask on.
I know. I don't want to be rude. You know what I mean? So
you know what you two have in common?
What?
Is that you both have been on Top of the Pops.
Wait, who did you play? Were you playing synth or something for somebody when you were? Because you produce, obviously, the artist who was on with you.
I was in a band. It was my buddy Max who had a band called Shapeshifters, and at the time I was in the band playing bass guitar.
Wow!
Having a #1 at the time, so we did Top of the Pops and all those. Yeah.
Party in the Park and all.
What year did you do it with Shapeshifters? Because I remember the name of that band.
Oh, do you remember? Yeah, 2004.
Lola's theme.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that song.
But here's something also you guys have in common, because like when I was watching, I might have been like stalking a little bit just for, you know, reminiscing on your Top of the Pops performances. And Sean, your dance moves, I have to say that
I was not quite Backstreet Boy material. I was a little off. I was just because I had these very talented, very athletic black London dancers. You know what I mean? They were good, and I just looked like some flailing arms idiot in front of them. But I miss those boys. They were good.
It's great. I mean, Karen reminded me that you did that, and I was like, oh my god, let me jump on YouTube. So I actually went on this morning to have a little look.
That's like, once it's on YouTube,
suddenly,
yeah.
No escaping it.
Carl used to do this one thing, and I will post the videos. He used to do this thing because he thought it was really cool.
It is kind of cool.
No, it's not cool.
It's cool.
He used to do this thing. He was playing the bass, and he would do this thing just to try and look cool, where he'd lick his finger and then strum. Yeah. And then lick his finger again and then strum. And I'm
exactly.
Like, what
yeah, that's it.
Doing?
Mark King from Level 42 move. I don't know. He came up with the licking face.
Yeah,
exactly. I get it.
I mean, listen, it's good for two things.
There's only so much you can do with a bass. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, it's good for two things.
A little Rolling Stone saliva action, and the girls are like, I saw his tongue. It's a cheap trick. But
I'll tell you one thing, actually, because every time I did that, it was in the breakdown in the middle eight, and I used to do it then, and the cameraman started learning, oh, Carl's is about to do that. So
and mouthy action.
That's it.
It was so cheesy. I'm sorry, that was super
You couldn't do that in the age of COVID.
No, you couldn't, could you? No.
Oh, lick your bass.
Yeah. Maybe a little hand sanitizer and then play. Yeah.
Everything, everything changed.
You guys should do a jam session together.
I don't know if that's a good idea.
Why? Sean's got a beautiful voice. You've
Well,
heard his voice.
I haven't heard your voice. It's very good. Very
Sean,
good.
Sean, are you singing? And I know you're super busy, and I want to talk about your acting school too. But the singing, what's going on? Are you going to ever get back into a bit of singing?
No, do you know what? I really, really enjoy playing and singing at home. Like I enjoy it like I would enjoy playing football. I've realised I get a lot of joy out of it, but nobody else in my house feels that way. So what I tend to do now is, you know this thing on like Apple iTunes, you can get the words on the song.
Yeah.
So you can be driving and kind of sort of doing karaoke. And I now, when I'm in the car after I've dropped the boys off to school and stuff, I'm like, all right, let's do it. And it's just me. It's fantastic. I get out of the car and I'm like, ooh, yeah, that was good. Nice work. Much stuff back there. But then nobody else's have to be cursed by it, because Tanya's like, stop, you know. Because also I'm sort of learning to play the piano very, very slowly, but I'm enjoying that so much.
Yeah.
But also, I only get like 2 or 3 hours in the day where I can do it when the boys are at school, because otherwise they want to watch, you know, these children that, you know, all the kids watch YouTube channels now with other children playing with things. It's bonkers. So they're like, stop, we can't hear these mindless children playing with toys instead of playing with toys themselves. So I don't get much of an opportunity, but I'm going to, by the end of the pandemic, I want to be able to play a full song. I'm close. I'm getting close on Lean On Me by Bill Withers.
Oh, excellent. Oh, good one. Good pick, yeah.
Brilliant.
The favorite song of mine. I actually did record it once a long time ago because it's one of my favorites. So if I could get that song down, the pandemic has not been a waste.
Yeah. Excellent.
And then you can come over and you can record it at Cars.
I'll have to record
Studio.
you doing
There
that.
you
Yeah.
But there's no evidence of me doing it.
Yeah, well, that's going to be
But nobody needs to check it.
there's going to be evidence, a paper trail and everything. So yeah, it will echo in eternity, mate.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Hey, listen, I'm going to love you, leave you. Hope to see you soon. By the
You
way,
too, brother. Great to see you, Carl.
yeah, good to see
We're
you
going
too.
to do curry and
Love to
beer.
the family. Yes,
Curry and
yes.
beer.
As soon as
Love
we
it.
can, we will.
Yeah, don't tell Colin, because then he'll be really jealous too, because he wants to come in.
He would. He would.
So tell us about your school.
So I have been thinking about, I come from a family of teachers. My mum, dad, my 5 siblings, everyone's a teacher. So it's sort of the family occupation. So I grew up watching my mum and dad teach Irish dancing every night. So that's always felt like it's in my blood. And because I've been an actor now as a professional actor for 40 years, I've accumulated a few bits and bobs because I never trained professionally, but I've sort of learned a few things about how one gets through this career or this occupation. And so I had a lot of people over the years have said to me, how do you get an agent, or how do you blah, 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 a million questions. And I never knew how best to give a, you know, clear, direct answer. And so I started talking to a couple of friends about this idea of a conservatory where the other professional actors would come to, and we would all teach, and in between the jobs, when we're not working, we can go back and share what we've learned to students that are coming through. Then every time I got to just about to launch it, I booked a job or I was in another country or something, and so it got pushed back. And then when the pandemic happened, my brother came to stay for a couple of weeks really early on, and was doing his dancing lessons over Zoom. And I was like, oh gosh, I could do the acting lessons like this with 10 people, and they could be in various cities as long as they're in the same time zone. And then the idea was born. So we started thinking about it and how I wanted to go about it and what we would offer and all of that. And then, you know, before we knew it, we were ready to launch. And then our first class officially is on the 1st of October.
Oh my God.
We've got 1 class in America. We've got 2 classes in Europe, and probably another 3rd class somewhere else. So we're just going through applications, processing everybody, and then we'll start giving them material and telling them about the course and what they'll be doing. But it's so exciting, and I can't believe, and again, you know, had the crisis not come along, I may have, you know, just dragged my feet and not got it done. But now I was like, this is a good time to do it, and it can also give people something to do at home via the computer, and it's going to be really fun, I think.
Yeah. Gosh, that's so exciting. I mean, that is, you're so humble in saying that, you know, you put it together, but I'm sure it's taken many, many, many hours of planning.
Yeah. Well, it was how to go about it and what could I offer that is a genuine, useful thing, you know? And I'm not suggesting that we are RADA or we are not NYU drama or Yale drama or something. This is not for that. This is for all of the people out there that were like, I'd love to do that, but I have no idea. I don't know any actors. I don't know anything about Hollywood. This is that chance where through a porthole now, we can just teach you just the very, very basics, the fundamentals. And if you like it, if you like it and you enjoy it, then you can take that training, we can progress a little bit further. But the first thing is really an introduction to TV and film acting. We're really just going to teach the basics, and then we're going to start doing scene study in class and playing with each other. That's what's called the Players Conservatory. We're going to play, we're going to do make-believe and have fun. And then some people may go, do you know what, I don't necessarily want to be a professional actor, but I'd like to do this as a hobby. Instead of going bowling, this is cooler, this is more fun. So I'm hoping it will give people that never had the opportunity a chance to try this out and see if it's for them. Because I think a lot like us will probably get the bug and go, this is fun, I want to do more.
And that's something that you've highlighted too. Like I know that there's been a lot of arts funding that have been cut in a lot of our schools. And what the authorities of, you know, and the powers that be fail to remember is that having drama classes in school, some kids might want to pursue it seriously and professionally later on, and then some don't. But the point is, through having extracurricular programs in the arts at school, it gives confidence, it builds self-esteem and communication skills that are so important, whether or not they do become actors or not. And I think that's so important. I think it's so wonderful that you're offering these courses for people of all levels and giving people a chance to even explore this as a possibility, as a hobby, or something that they might want to get into. And there are not a lot of places that offer courses like that, because it's sort of all or nothing.
Yeah.
So this is really nice.
The other thing that I really love about the idea is, as you know, as actors, we have a very busy period, and then you might be sitting around for months, and none of us are good just sitting around doing nothing. And as an actor, sometimes that's what you just have to do, but you kind of go, but I want to work out. I want to keep my muscles loose and stuff like that. So sometimes it might be the professional actors. You can get together with 10 other professional actors. And we can go, great, let's bash this out. Let's work. I was doing a FaceTime with Mikey Raymond James in New York this morning, because he coaches me when I have a really tough one. I'm like, I can't get into this. Mikey is, he's actually going to be our first teacher at the Players Conservatory outside of me, which I'm super excited about. Mikey's also going to help me design the curriculum, because he is an actor's actor. He's technically phenomenal. He's got such great insight, and he's the guy I go to. Sorry, my phone got and we were discussing it this morning, and it's so exciting when you work with even if you're a professional actor at a certain standard, you can work with someone like Mikey or some of the other teachers that we have talked to and have in mind. You know, this is an opportunity you don't get very often. Like, these are people that you will know and recognize from TV, and they'll be teaching you how they do it. I mean, a lot of the time, if you go to an acting school, it's an acting teacher that may never have been on screen or even on stage. Do you know what I mean? But these are going to be people that you know, that you revere. I was talking to an actress friend of mine who's in northern Spain, who's a very famous old actress, and I was saying, you taught me so much, I want you to come teach. And she immediately went, oh, well, it's like when I did this film with Roger Moore, and went off into this story. And I was like, I want to take the class with you just to hear that Roger Moore story. And I thought, this is going to be not just an acting class, but a really fun way to spend 2 hours on a Monday night or a Thursday night with a bunch of people who are into the same thing and who are, you know, kind of just buzzing off being in this sort of virtual room with each other and trying stuff out, you know?
Yeah. And I feel like those like of you who are like, you're offering these practical skills from source of what's happening currently, because you and I both know that our industry, those waves keep changing, and it's constantly having to be on top of things and learning what's going on, just having your finger on the pulse. So that's so wonderful that you're bringing just this wonderful collective of working actors that can impart such valuable information and advice, because a lot of it too is often about what you do in between jobs. You know, which is so vitally important, if not more important, to help you be prepared and get to that frame of mind where you're ready for when an opportunity comes. So I just think, and training is always ongoing. I feel like there's always room to improve. And I think that goes with anything in life, you know, it's never too late to start taking piano lessons and
Yeah.
whatnot. Carl and there's a point to this. Carl and I, we went to go have our brains scanned at the Amen Clinic. And I bring this up because you mentioned about piano, that it's so important that we exercise our brains out. You know, there's physical exercise, which is so important, especially for happy endorphins and what they say now for the prefrontal
lobe.
Oh, what do they call now? I'm brain farting. The prefrontal cortex, is that it?
Yes,
It's
cool.
so important for your brain. But brain health.
Cortex, and there's the your visual or your memory.
Yes, yeah. And it's so important that your brain gets exercise too. And often, like when we don't study or if we're not learning a skill as we might have used to more routinely when we were in school, parts of our brain kind of go idle and get lazy. That's why, you know, you have these apps like Lumosity. And guys, I'm not endorsing them. I'm just saying that these cognitive exercises are so important. Now, we did it. I was showing support for Carl too. I've had some concussions in the past, and I wanted to get, you know, just checked to make sure everything's okay. And Carl has Alzheimer's that runs in his family. So if we could just get a healthy scan, or hopefully, you know, a scan that indicates where you can follow Dr. Amen on Instagram and the Amen clinics. And it's so fascinating because the choices that we make when we're much younger growing up, and I was trying to tell this to my nephews, that you have to take responsibility for the choices that you make when it comes to alcohol intake, drugs, any of that, you know, because
Or even peer group, the kind of people you surround yourself with, or how much you let in of social media and its toxicity. You know, these are all
exactly. I'm so glad you mentioned that too, because they can see from the scans that they do. It's so fascinating. They can see, you know, why one person might be more anxious. Maybe there's too much stimulus going on in some parts of the brain. It's so fascinating to look at. I'll tell you what, when they were doing the scan of my brain, and I after when I was looking at the screens, I was so in awe of our, you know, I was like, that's my brain.
Rather extraordinary thing, isn't it?
I got so teary, and I was so humbled, because it's so easy for us to take it for granted. Like, this is our brain that is so powerful and magical and dictates our whole health. You know, this is where it all starts. And I'm glad that now more and more the importance of mental health and emotional well-being is now becoming more on the forefront, because people often brain health, as Dr. Amen calls it, that is becoming more prominent in the news. And I'm glad that it's not being pushed to the side, because if someone has problems with their knee or other issues with their body, a lot of research and a lot of awareness is out there about various health issues. But it's so important for brain health to be promoted too, because that's so important. And I'm looking forward to having a chat with you know, with the doctor, just to see what they say about what's going on in my brain. But one thing they say that is so important is that we should always continue to be learning a skill that kind of stimulates some of those areas in our brain. Because
and moving and stuff, rather than lying dormant, because I think we lose brains, I think, from when we turn about 21 or something. Our brain cells start to deplete from then. And so if we don't like, don't they say, like, doing Sudoku or doing word searches or playing an instrument or something that forces the brain to go, oh shit, we quick, we're on, you know what I mean, rather than just letting the machinery come to a grinding halt. So yeah, I think that also because mental health touches so many other issues now. Do you know what I mean? The Venn diagram of mental health and crime, or mental health and drug or alcohol use, or, you know, and again, as I said, I think that social media now could almost be classed as, you know, a part of mental health, because I think it affects. I took a little sabbatical from social media for a while, and I found it really, really helpful. I found it very, very helpful. I'm back re-engaged because I've got a number of things I want to say and support, and launching a school and the election coming up and everything. But I think all of us just knowing when to go, do you know what? I'll just take a couple of days off. The world will still be the cesspit it is on social media. Don't worry, you won't miss anything, or you're caught up when you get back on. But just taking that little break out for a while, I think, is really, really healthy.
Absolutely.
It's trying on all of us, I think.
I feel especially like culturally too, it's been ingrained with pop culture and social media that our attention spans seem to be getting shorter. We become more easily distracted.
Well, because of clickbait. Look over here, look over here, look over here. Oh, what? And it's always some look over, and you go, oh, I'll just look, and then it's kind of a bullshit thing, and you're like, why do I? You know, I think somebody once gave me great advice. He said, well, it's actually a friend was given this advice, and he told me, and he said, just play. He was getting a bit anxious, and other people were doing very well, and he felt like he was standing still. And someone said to him, just play your own ball, like in golf. Don't worry where anyone else is on the course. Just focus on your ball. Focus on you're going to hit your ball. Everybody else, be damned. You know, you're going to get there when you get there. And I think we live in a society where we're so distracted by so many other things, you know, and we're pulled in different directions. So it's very hard to keep your focus on where it will serve you best mentally and in a rewarding way, you know.
So it's so good that you're taking piano lessons, because something like that is so good to stimulate parts of the brain. They say my doctor told me to brush my teeth with my left hand. I'm right-handed, so brush with your left, because even something as simple as that can get, you know, different parts of the brain.
Neurons and all of that. That makes sort of sense. Keep everything and working and keep it slick and oiled.
Just keeping that brain young and healthy is so important, and a lot of us don't even we don't think about those things, but it's so important, especially as we get older.
Maybe not as much now because we're all under the microscope with the pandemic, but I think for the most part, we take our good health for granted until we're sick. And how many times have you ever gone when you get sick and you go, oh, I feel so terrible. Why wasn't I more grateful yesterday when I was well? And I was discussing this with a friend yesterday, because when you're happy, you don't want to start thinking, God, I bet I could be sick tomorrow. God, that'd be you know what I mean? When you're happy, you're just like, yay, candy floss for everybody. But as soon as you get ill, you kind of go, why me? You know? And so that brings us full circle to if you want to reduce the chances of getting sick, just wear a mask if you're outside. Just keep remembering that.
Yeah, amen to that. You have tons of Q&As that came in, and it was so, guys, I'm so sorry because we can only do a few. So I've chosen a few, Sean. So are you ready?
I'm ready. Bring
it on. At 1789 Caro, I really like this question, especially now that we're in this pandemic. What is your favorite moment of the day?
Oh, that's a tricky one, because there's a few. Probably because the mornings can be a little chaotic and the boys can be either in a great mood or a bad mood. But when I pick up Leo from school at midday, he's kind of tired. And as soon as I pick him up, he just comes and kind of falls into my arms and cuddles me. And I put him in the car seat, and then I bring him home, and then I put him in his pushchair, and then we walk around the block till he falls asleep. That walk that sometimes takes me 20 minutes, sometimes it takes me 40 minutes till I get him asleep. We play music, like I put the music in the pushchair, and it's often piano music and stuff like that. That's kind of nice. That's starting to become one of my favorite parts of the day, because it's where I'm like, I can't look at my phone because it's there, and I want him to hear the music, and it's just a process of walking till he falls asleep, and it's giving me that 20 minutes of the day where I can kind of try and put some logic and reason behind things that are confusing me, bothering me, or things I need to resolve, issues I need to fix. It gives me that time. It forces me to have that time. It's almost like forced mental exercise and problem solving, and it's also matched with this little 2-year-old who's adorable and asleep, you know. So yeah, that's probably one of them. Or playing football. I've been playing football in the garden with Flynn a lot.
Oh, have you?
Yeah, he's very, very passionate about football now, and his enthusiasm, like, Daddy, did you see how hard I kicked that? Did you see that? How hard or Sonny or Harry Kane, because he knows all my Tottenham players now.
Yeah.
And yeah, watching football's just back, so now we get to watch football again on a Saturday morning with my sons in their Tottenham shirts. So that as a dad, you're like,
yeah,
all we got to do now is win. And the weekend,
yeah, that's right. Well,
you know?
Carl should have worn his Tottenham Spurs shirt. He just ordered one that came in, so he should have worn that for you. I'll tell him. I'll have words with him. So so many good questions here. Oh, at Amanda_Mayoras. I hope I said your name right, love. She says, what's your favorite fictional female role model?
Well, that's a very good question. Favorite female
Fictional female role model.
Role model and fictional. God, that's a tricky one. I'm trying to think all of my favorite books of all my favorite female protagonists.
Or superheroes, I guess, right?
Well,
Any.
I remember an episode of Frasier where Roz says, my favorite hero is Wonder Woman. And they kind of laugh at her and she goes, no, but I love Wonder Woman because she's strong and she's powerful and she's, you know, unapologetic. So Wonder Woman, I think, is a great, when they remade the movie with the gorgeous Gal Gadot, I was like, this is awesome. This is a great rocking role model for girls. So I would say Wonder Woman's a pretty good one. But I think there's so many great non-fictional women, like the real ones are the ones that my brain immediately goes to, whether it's Maya Angelou or whether it's Susan B. Anthony or whether it's God, I mean, I asked a question on Twitter about a year ago because I'm trying to write a play I'm giving away too much, but I needed 3 of the most influential historical female characters in history, and the response was just thousands. Even Chelsea Clinton answered, because I said, please don't put your mum or your aunt, even though I know they're great, but I'm just looking for really historical people. And Chelsea Clinton answered and said, I know you said not to say my mum, but I'm going to. And I was like, you're allowed. Is your mum. But yeah, I think there are some great fictional characters, but that depends on what type of fiction you like. My head immediately goes to some of the women. There's a woman called Winnie Byanyanga who I got to know through Oxfam. If you don't know who she is, she's just an amazing, amazing woman that is fighting global poverty around the world. All of the women that I know at Oxfam who are just so passionate and so driven and get so little for what they do. But yeah, I'm sorry to sway from fiction to reality, but at the moment I'm in
real superheroes.
So many great real women that are out there kicking ass. AOC, I think she's awesome. Katie Porter, I think is awesome. I could go on.
Yeah, those are good choices, good ones. At Angela De Lima, she says, Sean, what advice do you have for actors starting out in the industry, especially during a pandemic?
Well, the good news about being an actor is you don't have to leave the house to start learning. There are so many great gods of cinema and film that you can start with. Stop watching rubbish and only watch quality. That would be my first bit of advice. Start going through the AFI Top 100. When you watch films like I watched Godfather Part 2 again the other night, going, is it as good as I remember? And I was like, oh, good Lord, it's astoundingly good. Watching great actors act. I think also reading plays. If you're starting out, look at some of the great playwrights, the American playwrights, or wherever you're from. If you're from Ireland, if you're from England, read your playwrights because they write with your rhythm and your heart and your spirit. Reading plays is really important because you don't have, we can watch a movie and then you start mimicking the actor. That's not what we're after. We're trying to find, you get a script and it's like a code or a crime scene. You're the detective and you have to put all the clues together to build this person, and that's your character. So to learn how to do that, you have to start reading plays and saying it out loud. Like I've been walking around my kitchen reading a script all morning out loud because I'm trying a different accent because I'm swinging for the fences with this thing. And I was like, ooh, the first few runs, I was like, yes, that's terrible. But by the 10th or 11th, I was like, now it's starting to sound good. You can do all these things at home. You don't need a million apparatus to do that. And one of the things we want to teach you at the school is how you can work on this muscle at home. And we're going to give you schoolwork. We're going to give you scenes to learn and partners to team up with. So that's one of the reasons I started the school, to do exactly that, to teach you how to do this from home right now in a pandemic.
You're fostering a very supportive and encouraging community, and in a way that helps hold each other accountable too and motivates, because at the end of the day, it's discipline and it's your self-motivation as well. But when you have that married with a community where everyone is really supportive and encouraging. It makes all the difference.
And
So,
also, even though we're going to be in our little Zoom classroom of maybe
Yeah.
7 or 10 people, once we start doing it, and like I know for the first time actors, they're going to be a bit nervous, and we're going to talk about how you relax and how I get everybody to be in a comfortable place and know that they're in a safe space. At first, you feel like tense, like, oh, I don't. If I say that, people might think I'm terrible. Like, we're going to help you get rid of that, and then you're going to start doing it. And you're going to go, oh, that was fun, and it actually felt good. It felt believable, and you'll get encouragement from your classmates, and you'll get feedback from your classmates, and it just gives you that little bit of an audience to get your fear in check, and then you learn to control that fear and turn it into energy and electricity to give a great performance. So that's part of the classroom dynamic thing that I'm really looking forward to.
that's so great. Okay, one more question. Oh, this is there's so many good ones. We should do a once upon a time question. So at Atina_XOXO, Sean, one thing your once upon a time character has taught you.
It really pisses everybody off, but I knew that. No, I think it's not really that one thing that it taught me, but I think because of embodying the character of Robin Hood, which is a character that is virtuous and fights for those who can't fight for themselves, it sort of magnified the feelings that I already had about those things, about trying to do some good, trying to be useful, trying to use your platform for something for the betterment of something other than yourself. And Robin Hood is that iconic personification of decency and virtue. And I think playing that character and being attached to it, sort of me and Robin Hood as one, has somewhat made me try to take that away and try to go, I want to live a little bit more like that. I want to be, not by any stretch, nobody is perfect, but to try to reach for that, to push a little harder, to do a little bit more and to be a bit better. So I think it's been a great godsend having that role and that character in my life.
Well, I'm grateful for Once Upon a Time because that's how I met you.
Yeah. And so many, I mean, ourselves, this is such a family, even way past the show now. We're all so close and such good friends, and I don't know another show that I took this many friends away from. So I'll always be grateful to Adam and Eddie and to everybody at the show for this sort of new chapter in our lives.
Yeah, I feel like that's one of the greatest gifts, that you can take away from each show, because especially as actors, if we're lucky enough to go from one show to the next, it's always hard, because you make these special bonds and then it's for a period of time, and you kind of want to relish every moment that you have together, because everyone's got different schedules and family life and all that, which takes you all over the place. But I'm just so grateful that a show like Once Upon a Time, it's such a family sense of family community that that's one thing that we will always have is each other, and I'm so grateful for that.
Me too.
So I can't believe an hour's gone by so quickly. I know, it's too much fun, and I love listening to you, Sean, because you're a fellow Aries, and and so incredibly inspiring. You never cease to amaze me with your kind but very caring heart. And what I love about you so much is that you call things out for the way they are.
Well, it gets me in trouble sometimes, but I don't. There's a Mark Twain quote that I really love, and I keep reciting it to the point of annoyance, which is, if you only tell the truth, you don't have to remember anything. Meaning if you lie, then you go, oh, I've got to remember that lie. Oh, I've got to remember that bullshit thing that I don't stand by. If you just go, listen, this might not be popular, but this is how I feel, and this is why I feel it, then it isn't always popular, and I sometimes piss people off or upset people, but I'd rather someone be pissed off with me but know where I stand than me having to hopscotch around and trying to please everybody, because you can't. So why bother trying? Just be the most authentic self you can, and let the world take you as they do.
But one great thing too, though, about you, Sean, is that even though people might have differing opinions, you listen. And I feel, and I keep saying this to my other friends too, I feel like there is this shift for the better, where through these uncomfortable conversations, we're more patient with one another rather than to attack. Even if we disagree, we still are able to have these conversations, these necessary conversations, and try and help each other kind of understand or empathize where we're coming from.
Yeah.
I feel like that's changed, but you've always done that, even when people may agree or not agree, but you've done that. And so that says a lot, as opposed to just, you know, we've seen examples on social media where they've been kind of like cyberbullying or tyrants. But
jump on the bandwagon. But again, even if people jump on the bandwagon, if it's for the right thing, if it's in support of Black Lives Matter, if it's in support of something that you are late to the party on, but now you're like, oh gosh, this is awful, what's happening, I've got to stand up and speak. That's why I'm like, great, it's great to have you join the conversation, and let's all work together collectively, you know.
Yeah, we're constantly learning, and
yeah,
if we make mistakes, then look, we correct each other, because that's helping each other, and we do it in a respectful and constructive manner, you know.
yes.
So I feel like, you know, we raise our hands up to say, look, I'm not saying we're experts, but we're learning, and we want to learn, and we want to be radically proactive.
Yeah, just that. I realised, because I always thought myself as an ally and quite right on and everything, and I realised that I'd said things or tweeted things that upset people, and I had to sort of go, all right, I thought I was sort of on the virtuous side, but maybe I need to just educate myself a little bit more. And I have to say, the amount of information and history and pretty shocking and awful things that I found out, I was like, ooh, I didn't have a damn clue of what I thought I was. I just knew about the general thing, but learning a lot of the historical things, the legal things, that, you know, and why we have systemic racism. So it's a horrible subject. Nobody really wants to talk about it, but we have to. And so learning about it and talking about it, as I have, as you have, some of my black friends have been kind enough and patient enough to sort of give me an extra bachelor's degree in what the hell I didn't know. And so, like you say, just being humble enough to sort of go, I don't know everything, please educate me, because I'd like to not put my foot in my mouth, and I'd like to be supportive for the things I care about, you know.
And on that note,
Karen, thank you so much. It's been so lovely to talk to you.
oh, I miss you so much, and I can't wait till we can hang out again. And yeah, like Carl said, have curry and a beer.
We'll draw lines in the garden or something. Yeah. We'll eat outside, because I could murder yours and Carl's curry anytime. That would be great.
Well, then we'll do it. We'll do it soon. I'll bug you, and we'll figure something out.
We'll take pictures to prove it. Before someone says pictures or it didn't happen, we'll take pictures.
We'll do it. We'll do it. Anything you want to say to your beloveds watching now?
No, just thank you to just to everybody that, if you have applied for the school, we've been a bit overwhelmed. We're getting through the application, so don't worry, we will get to you. You will have an answer. We will answer your questions. We're sorting people into time zones and classes and age groups and stuff, but incredibly overwhelmed with excitement, and so happy to everybody that's joined on, or if you want to follow us on Instagram or Twitter. Once we have our first lesson, we're going to start showing people a little bit what we're doing, if the class allows and wants to be public. But thank you, Karen. Thanks for a chance to talk about it and promote it and all of that.
No, my pleasure, love. I'm so excited for you guys. Tell us where your website and your Instagram or social media handles for the school.
The Players Conservatory, I think it's the Players _Players _Conservatory. You'll probably find it. And on Twitter, it is the Players Con 1. If you want to give us a follow, we would appreciate it.
Okay, love. Yay! Okay, I need a big hug and lots of love.
Take care, and I'll speak to you soon.
Bye, love. Bye, guys.
Bye, everyone.